He moved into an old Victorian house inherited from a distant uncle he barely remembered. It was quiet, creaky, and full of forgotten rooms. The air inside felt heavy, as if the walls themselves held their breath. Every night, he heard whispers, but blamed the wind. While exploring the second floor, he noticed one hallway was shorter on the inside than outside. A section of the house didn't match. He knocked on the wall, and the sound changed, hollow, empty. There was definitely something hidden behind that part of the hallway. With a crowbar and patience, he peeled away the wallpaper and pried the wooden boards. Behind them was a small locked wooden door. There was no keyhole. Just a cold iron handle shaped like a serpent. He hesitated, then pulled it. The door creaked open slowly. Inside was a narrow spiral staircase, leading downward into darkness. The air rushing out smelled of dust, old stone, and something faintly metallic. He took a flashlight and began descending carefully. Each step echoed as if the walls were made of ancient stone instead of wood. At the bottom, he found a circular stone chamber with 12 mirrors mounted evenly around the room. They all faced inward, toward nothing. The mirrors didn't reflect him. Instead, they showed shifting scenes, dark forests, abandoned halls, stormy seas. None of them made sense. One mirror began to tremble, the surface rippling like disturbed water. A pale hand pressed from the inside, but only for a second. He reached toward it, but the surface stayed cool and solid. Then, in another mirror, he saw his reflection. But it blinked late. The reflection smiled, though he didn't. His heart raced. He stepped back, bumping into another mirror. It, too, showed a different version of him. Each mirror now displayed a unique version of him, older, younger, injured, dressed differently. Some looked afraid. Others stared back with cold smiles. Suddenly, the door behind him slammed shut. He rushed to it, but the handle had vanished. The stone walls groaned around him. A deep voice echoed through the chamber, "One must remain. One must pass." He spun around, but no one was there. One mirror began glowing with a faint red light. The image inside showed him standing outside the room, staring down at the door. That version looked relieved, almost free. But he was still trapped inside. He tried to touch the glowing mirror, but it burned. The voice returned, "Choose the one to take your place." Panic set in. He backed away, but the mirrors closed in closer. Their frames twisted, sprouting sharp edges, curling like vines of black iron. Each reflection now spoke silently, mouthing words he couldn't hear. He stepped away from the mirrors, but the room grew smaller, the walls pushing inward. Each mirror seemed alive, hungry, and watching him. The reflections started whispering now, their mouths moving in perfect silence. Still, he could somehow understand them deep inside his head. "Take me," one reflection begged, eyes full of fear. "Let me go back. I've been trapped here so long." Another version shouted, "Don't trust them. They lie. I tried to leave, I became something else." One mirror cracked suddenly, a jagged fracture slicing through the reflection's face. That version bled, and the blood oozed through the glass. He turned and ran around the chamber, looking for any escape. But the door was gone. Only endless reflections surrounded him now. The lights dimmed. The mirror room pulsed like a living thing. Every breath he took echoed 12 times, once from each glass. Then came a low humming, like a song made of sorrow. It rose from the stone beneath his feet. He fell to his knees, covering his ears. But the song vibrated inside his bones, inside his thoughts. One mirror flickered. The image inside showed a child's bedroom, his bedroom, from age 10. Something crawled out from beneath the bed. Another mirror shifted to his high school locker, where he once found a note warning him not to come home that night. One showed a funeral, his. He was in the coffin, but his eyes were open, watching everyone who passed. He cried out, "Why are you showing me this?" The mirrors responded in a single voice, "You already chose. You just don't remember." The floor cracked, revealing a second layer of stone with strange symbols carved deep into it, symbols that pulsed faintly with red light. He recognized the symbols. He had seen them in his grandfather's basement, painted on the ceiling in chalk and blood. The voice returned, gentler now. "He gave you this. He opened the door. But only you can decide how it ends." One reflection stepped forward inside its mirror. It looked older, wiser, but its eyes were gone, just hollow dark pits. "I stayed," it whispered. "I let him go. But the room changed me. Now I wait for someone new. Someone like you." He stepped back again, heart pounding, but the mirrors followed him. The room twisted, now the ceiling reflected him too. He screamed. 1,000 versions of his voice screamed back. The mirrors cracked again, but didn't break. They only smiled. He stumbled toward the center of the chamber, where no mirror could reach. Yet their eyes followed, watching every breath he took. The older reflection spoke again, louder now, "You can't leave without choosing. One must replace you, or you stay forever." He shouted, "None of you are real." But the reflections laughed, some in mockery, others in pain. A cold wind swept through the chamber. The mirrors shivered, their glass fogging briefly as if exhaling. He dropped to the floor, his hands shaking. In the corner of the room, a new mirror began to form from the stone. It rose slowly, its frame twisting like roots. Inside it showed a version of him sitting in a hospital bed. Machines beeped, nurses moved quickly. His eyes were closed in that mirror, unconscious, barely alive. The voice whispered, "This is your body now. Your soul is here. Choose who lives, and who watches." He stared at the hospital image. "Am I dying?" The mirrors didn't answer. They only showed possibilities, some filled with peace, others with horror. He felt time slowing. His heart beat once every few seconds. Even the dust floated midair, like frozen memories. One mirror began flashing images rapidly: childhood, fear, laughter, darkness, a door slamming, a candle burning out. He remembered the day he found his grandfather whispering to a mirror in the attic. That was the first time it called. He didn't answer then. But now he had stepped through, and found the source of the whispers. The mirror showing the hospital blinked. Now his eyes were open. A nurse called for a doctor. "He's waking up," she said. He felt a sudden tug, like something inside him was being pulled upward, back toward that world. But something held him down. The other versions, they were all reaching for him, begging, pleading, angry, desperate. They climbed inside the mirrors, pounding the glass, their hands bloody, their mouths screaming without sound. "Take me. Choose me. Let me out. I remember. It's mine. It's my turn." He backed away from the hospital mirror. "I don't know what's real anymore," he whispered. "I don't even know who I am. The voice said, then pick. Be the one who remembers, or become one who watches. He realized now the mirrors were prisons, not windows. Each reflection was a soul caught in the choice too long. Too long, and you forget who you were. You become only what the mirror shows. He stood trembling at the center of the room, surrounded by reflections of himself, each more broken than the last. One mirror now showed nothing at all. Only darkness. But he could feel something breathing on the other side. Another reflection stood completely still, eyes wide with terror. Its mouth slowly opened, revealing a second, whispering mouth inside. The hospital mirror pulsed again. The heart monitor spiked. He saw his chest rise slowly, then again. Someone called his name. It was his sister. Her voice broke through the chamber like sunlight piercing through storm clouds. Wake up, please. He turned toward the voice, but only the mirror echoed her cry. The room remained cold, unmoved, eternal. The red symbols on the floor glowed brighter now. They began to shift, rearranging themselves into a new pattern he didn't understand. He knelt beside them, touching one glowing symbol. A jolt of cold shot up his arm, not painful, but ancient. Suddenly, one mirror shattered inward. The glass didn't fall, it dissolved into black smoke, revealing a shadowy hallway. Beyond that hallway was silence. No reflections. No voice. Just stillness. It was the only opening he'd seen since arriving. He approached it carefully, but the other mirrors started screaming. Not in sound, but his mind burned with their panic. You can't leave. No exit. It's a trick. Stay. No more doors. You belong here. He paused. The hallway looked so empty, so final. What if it wasn't escape, but something worse? Then he heard another voice, quiet but firm, from within himself. There is no truth here, only the choice. He reached toward the dark hallway. The floor trembled. The chamber groaned like something ancient was waking beneath it. But before he stepped through, the hospital mirror flickered one final time. His reflection there blinked. It smiled, just slightly. He looked into its eyes and whispered, "That's not me." The reflection answered by mouthing, "Too late." The hallway reached out like a tongue of shadow, pulling him one step forward. The mirrors dimmed, then pulsed as if in mourning. He took another step, and the stone symbols beneath him turned bright white. The shadows screamed. The room shook violently. Then, silence. Stillness. A sudden absence of all sound, like the world held its breath for a moment too long. The hallway dissolved behind him. The chamber of mirrors vanished like smoke. He stood in endless white space, barefoot, heart pounding. Ahead of him stood only one thing, a mirror, tall and cracked, but showing a clear image of himself. No other versions. No flickers. No distortion. Just him, tired, older, afraid, but real. A voice echoed one final time, "You chose nothing. And so, you chose yourself." The mirror shimmered. He reached out, hand trembling, and touched the surface. This time it didn't resist. It was warm. In a blink, he was back in the hospital bed. Gasping. Awake. Nurses ran in. Machines beeped faster. He was alive. His sister wept beside him. "You were gone for 3 minutes," she said. "You stopped breathing." He looked at the ceiling, then at the mirror in the hospital room's corner. His reflection stared calmly back. But it blinked twice. He said nothing. Weeks passed. He left the hospital. But something stayed with him. The feeling of eyes watching from glass. Every mirror he passed shimmered slightly when he blinked. Sometimes, a shape moved just out of view. One night, he covered all the mirrors in his house. Every last one. Just in case. But still, he hears them sometimes. Whispers in the dark. Promises. Please. Because when you enter the mirror room, part of you never truly leaves.